Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I'm going to be joined by Sam Titus. He is the CTO at FreightPrint, and FreightPrint is helping to track goods and materials through the supply chain, specifically on the logistics side of things from a transportation and a warehousing perspective, utilizing some QR codes and some systems that they've developed. And we're going to dive into that. And we're going to dive specifically into QR codes versus traditional barcodes. How do QR codes kind of help the warehouse, help you track that material and inventory a little better? And we're going to dive more into that with Sam. So, Sam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thanks for having me, Kevin. I'm doing well. Thank you.
All right. It's great to have you on the show, definitely, and very interested to talk about this topic. I think it's certainly one that will be very informative, and I think that people are would be curious about too to learn more about the QR code side of things versus traditional barcodes. But before we dive into that discussion, why don't you tell us a little bit about FreightPrint and what it is that you guys are all about?
I'd be happy to, Kevin. Thank you again for having me on your show. I joined FreightPrint about 4 years ago as a CTO, and at that time, the company was primarily focused on helping distribution companies, mainly here in the Portland area. And before, my joining the company, I was also working with different logistics companies in general, mainly in the distribution, warehousing, um, uh, mainly in the startup area. And FreightPrint really was at that time solving a problem that I believe was a problem in our industry for a long time, which is ability to track something very quickly and precisely without having to invest, hundreds of thousands of dollars into implementing a system. So that's kind of the my journey into the product, and so it's basically a software and a mobile app that will really allow warehousing and distribution and trucking side of things to easily connect the journey of a product, moving from the shipper to the warehouse, from the warehouse to the final mile, to the consignee. So our software really allows them to um, bring this complex um, tracking metric into more of a easy to use platform where they can connect all these different pieces. Warehousing alone is not the problem. Shipping alone is not the problem. Trucking alone is the problem. The problem is how do we connect all these things together? Because all of these different supply chain entities, you know, they do different things differently using different software. Some use EDI, some use barcodes, some use QR codes, some use pen and paper. It's just all over the map. So how can we you know unify this information that's been going from each entity to its final destination, right? So that's something that FreightPrint is trying to solve. If that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely, and I think that is certainly such a struggle out there and a pain point, right? Is you're having all these different sources of information coming in from all different parts of the supply chain, especially on the logistics side, and maybe you have multiple different carriers you work with, and they're bringing information in different ways. They're taking information from you in different ways. I mean, so being able to bring those all together is certainly something that is a need out there, and I think can help the operation improve and streamline so a lot of those communication and kind of data flows too overall to be able to track that inventory like you mentioned and in a better way and kind of on demand as needed. So tell us a little bit about kind of how FreightPrint is really going about that, because you mentioned an app and utilizing some QR codes too. I mean, how does it all kind of come together and bring all that data flow and information into one place?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So from a user perspective, FreightPrint really allows them to convert any data, any information that they have into a QR code. And the good thing about QR code is, especially nowadays, when we started, it wasn't, as common in the mobile world to have QR code, embedded in the phone. But nowadays, if you have a smartphone, you can scan a QR code, right? Um, uh, that you can actually access information by scanning the QR code, right? It will pull up all the information regarding the shipment. And let's say there's an inbound of shipment coming into your warehouse from the shipper. The shipper can generate a QR code where that QR code contains all the information regarding the shipment, the manifest. I'm not just talking about the shipment labels. I'm talking about, be it manifest, be it BOL, be it billing information, any information. Our technology allows them to really embed that into a scannable, secure QR code. Uh, the good thing about QR code is it's encrypted. Like it's you can't just know what it is by just looking at it. You have to scan it. And with our technology, when
Yeah.
you scan it, it allows you to authenticate who this person is. If it's the warehouse worker, then he will be able to see exactly what he needs to see, which is to receive it and store it in a particular bin location. And if that warehouse is also has the capability to print location bins as a QR code, then what that means is our technology would allow him or her to store that, right, by scanning it again. So what's going on in the background is we are linking all these scans, if you will, all the activity that is happening um, to that one piece of information, right? So back in the shipping department, at the shipper's office, they can see exactly when it was received, who scanned it, where was it stored, right? And then, when it comes to deliver that to the local, retail store, let's say, I'm going to use the example of let's say a carpet or a tile, right? So when it comes to that, we also again allow the same QR code to add on even more information um, uh, to the journey of that shipment, if you will. So now that QR code can also be scanned to pull up the outbound information. Which trucking company is going to come, and and when the trucking company, when the driver shows up, he again scans the same QR code, updates the information about that that inventory or that shipment, um, and we track it all the way to the final destination. And at that level, we have the option for the consignee to tap in again to scan the same QR code, mark it as received, take signature, take pictures, add documents, all of that again tying back into the same QR code. So now, as a shipper or a warehouse employee or terminal manager, you're looking at it, you can see the entire um, journey, if you will, of that product going from the shipper all the way to the consignee.
Mm.
And again, um, I think the main advantage is the ease of use and not having to log into all these different systems to just all you're looking for is I just want to know what happened to this one particular shipment. If you want to have that kind of granular, uh, uh, details of your shipment, you can get that using this technology. I hope that helps with just kind of seeing how from a user's perspective how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting to see too. And like kind of like you said, the QR code can capture like so much more information, right? I mean, I think it's interesting, like even that it gives you that ability within your software to make sure that it's like the right person, right? That's taking this inventory, whether loading it on a truck or putting it away and racking, whatever the case may be. I mean, having that ability and bringing that all together for the end user from all those different points of information, I think is super powerful and super helpful to help streamline that. And like you said, not have to log into all these different systems to be able to get like this kind of single point of information in a sense, and you guys are bringing that all together. So tell us a little bit about from a I guess a barcode, QR code perspective, right? I mean, traditionally we've used standard barcodes throughout the warehouse for locations, for LPNs, for labels, whatever the case may be. So tell us, like, what does it look like? Because obviously you guys are leveraging the QR code versus the traditional barcode to be able to get that more robust data set. How do you kind of go about transitioning your warehouse from the traditional barcode to now being a QR code friendly warehouse or distribution center, fulfillment center, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah. So barcode, they both are optical images, right? The code you require a code reader to read the code and decrypt whatever information is in that piece of code. Barcodes have limitations on how many characters you can use, and QR code is a lot more. You can store a lot more data. That's an obvious benefit of using QR codes. And there's so many. I mean, QR codes are originally invented to track parts in the automobile industry because there's so many parts in the as you can imagine, and they need to track everything and tie that to one particular car or product, if you will. So now QR codes are used everywhere. I mean, you go to a restaurant, you look at the menu using QR codes. I think the importance or the the nature of QR code is it's so computer friendly. It's a lot more reliable, if you will, and you can obviously store a lot more data. Um, and its overall friendliness to programming different things, ability to use it for different things. For example, we use QR code also. Some of our clients use last mile. A lot of distribution companies that do last mile as well. So that's one of the biggest uh, what do you call revenue stream for distribution companies because if they run the last mile in their area, then they can store the products for shippers and then do the last mile. And so they use QR code for collecting payments, right? So we do that too. So we allow last mile delivery companies to again scan this unique QR codes and it will process payments. So I guess the difference between barcode and QR code in this particular in our application is because we have a lot more use cases for QR code, whereas barcode is just limited to just doing one thing, and you don't really need special kind of printers to print barcodes, but traditionally it's a lot uh, it's a lot more difficult to read those things if you don't have the right kind of printers and labels and things like that. Um, so yeah, those are some of the things that I could think of
Interesting.
that I see as an advantage with QR codes. And I think you know anybody who has worked in the warehouse can tell you that it's how much they hate using the big I won't mention the brand names here, but big chunky card code readers going around. And if you talk to programmers or software guys who are behind those technologies, they are equally less excited about fixing bugs on those old technology. And we live in the day of AI, where data is power. I mean, if you can easily access data and really leverage that data to drive all kinds of insights, then that's that's what we need to do to get you know to increase revenue, to help your business boost, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think data is such a key in there. And I mean, I think it's interesting too. You mentioned how, you start to bring in these QR codes and they're storing so much more data, so much more information on them. And you're pushing in a sense to even different technology maybe that you're utilizing. You kind of mentioned the traditional type of kind of handheld, the brick on a stick kind of thing that they say. But when you look at that, I mean, are you seeing that because traditionally, I mean, a barcode is like that's the way to know where anything is, right? And it's kind of prevalent throughout the industry. But as we push more towards QR codes, is that having like a deeper impact on like the hardware that's being utilized too, and different technologies that now can come into play and maybe have more benefits from putting them in place?
Absolutely. I think that is one of the big pushbacks that we get from our customers. Because they've already invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in this hardware, right? On a technology
Yeah.
that's been outdated, and really, I've personally worked with this technology for many years. And no one is excited, on either side to use it. But since they've already, since the money is gone, they have to somehow. So that's one reasoning that I've heard. And obviously, in a lot of the ERPs and IBMs and the likes, they've invested heavily in that technology. So moving away from that is going to be a lot more painful for bigger companies. But that doesn't mean that small warehouses and even mid-sized distribution companies shouldn't adopt those things. There's still um, a lot of companies that are using it pen and paper. I mean, they do receive products and barcodes and stuff, but they don't use any of those. They still type the number manually, or so it's I think the revolution in the supply chain is just getting started. Um, it's it's just exciting to be able to use these different technologies, and really, me as a technology enthusiast, and I'm always looking for ways to not to restart or reinvent the wheel, but actually how to make the wheel better. Are there ways to use existing technology that's been proven and tried and true, like QR codes? I mean, it's not a new thing. It's been around for 30 plus years,
Mhm.
right? Um, uh, how can we incorporate that? Yes, it's been used in the automobile inventory management, but now everybody is using it, right? So that's the type of thing that I tell those in this industry, that hey, look, yes, we can still use the old chunky scanners and be limited to just doing what it's allowed you to do, or you can just you know embrace this new, somewhat new technology and find use cases in your industry that's going to transform. That's going to cut down your workload. Some of our clients have saved like 75% of their time just doing data entry. Um, it's a huge cost savings for them. So yeah, I mean it's to really drive the point home that not just QR code. I mean, once you have the data in your machine, in your system, you can do so much more than just typing the number from one point to the other point. So that's I don't know if that answers your question, but just to say the least, uh, it's really up to you as a customer, as a business owner, as someone in the distribution space to see how you can add value, right? Um, yes, there are systems that are deeply embedded in barcode label software, um, but there are ways to go around it and improve it. You don't. The other good thing about QR code is you're not just limited to those who have those barcode scanners. Just anybody who has a
Mm,
phone now do the same things that you know um, people with the scanner used to do, which means your customer, your clients, your consignees are able to get on the same band of train of information, if you will. Um, and there are some drawbacks, which again, it's something that we always look to make it better. For example, is the long range scanners. You'll be able to scan something, like really high up. But there are adapters now available in the market that you can add it to your phone, and it will give you the range that you need. So what I'm saying is it's not all positive. There are obvious drawbacks in using these mobile devices. But again, those are some things that we can always uh, make it better, and it's going to get better. You know that.
mm. Yeah, yeah, I think it's interesting, and I mean, I think the fact that it's it's kind of leveraging some of these devices that are more comfortable for a user too, because we're used to using our phones all the time and these different mobile devices, and we can leverage those and have similar feel, similar user interface. It's even that more comfortable for the user experience and the worker themselves to get more accustomed to, trained on, and just feel more comfortable throughout the day to day as well. So it's pretty interesting how that's didn't have the capability from the QR code to do, and then it evolved a little bit, and you're able to do more with it. So as we look towards the future, I mean, how do you see kind of the QR code or the barcode just in general? I mean, how do you see that evolving, and what does the future usage or use cases look like for the utilization of those QR codes?
Well, I think the future is of QR codes would be people or cycle count. It's amazing. Um, so just excuse me. Just the application side. I think that's the beauty about software because if you or technology in general, once you figure out a way to read and write data, in our case QR code, um, then it's up to the industry, up to the problems, right? Whatever problem that we have, we can find a solution, right? Um, so I think the future is going to be AI based, definitely, and we highly leverage that technology in our own product. We'll be able to, for example, read this information about products without having to manually go and scan. Um, RFID, another piece of technology that's very much under leverage in our industry. It is in like very big manufacturing places, but not from the medium sized businesses, right? Perspective. So yeah, I think the
Hmm.
future is going to be that. I mean, nobody likes to crunch numbers. Nobody likes to sit there and punch or scan things all day long. Um, and I see it as a good problem to have we can spend our energies and our skills in doing something more meaningful for us as people, as human beings, um, to to really allow this technology to do a much better job than we humans do with our precious time, or right. I know I'm going a little bit in the to the psychology of these things, but really, I mean, the warehouse workers. I mean, you talk to them, and they're just burned out, paid less. And, I would say, hey, just you know, just utilize this technology that to do the jobs that nobody really likes to do, and
Mhm.
use use human resources to do things like what we are doing, which is building relationships and spending more time with your kids, go on vacations and things. You know what I mean? So I don't see technology as our enemy. It's our ally. Just if you know how to use um, technology to solve problems that are costly, uh, do it. All means. So the future is good. I think we're just getting started. And as you know, supply chain is huge. It's a huge industry. So it's going to be like it's not going to be a steamboat operation. It's going to be like a like a aircraft carrier type operations, right? It's going to take many players, many years of you know uh, different companies getting into it and making it better. So that's what I'm not a fortune teller, but that's my that's my feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's very interesting too. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense because I think there is, and I think maybe the conversation is dying down a little bit over the last year, 2 years. I mean, but there has been so much conversation around like, oh, these new technologies are coming in, they're taking jobs, and I think to your point, like there's jobs that people don't necessarily want to do. Like, we're struggling to find people that want to do these jobs, and that's what's driving a lot of this technology to come forward because there's demand because job still needs to be done, but people don't necessarily like doing it or want to do it. So that technology kind of becomes an ally, like you said, and I like how you put that. I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, especially for our industry too, where there are a lot of jobs that people don't necessarily want to do, heavy lifting, dirty sometimes, hot, cold, whatever the case may be. And it makes sense that that technology is going to come in and help us out in that area and make people's lives hopefully a little more comfortable, a little more enjoyable, like you mentioned there. So Sam, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me here about FreightPrint and QR codes as well, and just some of the technology and future happenings within the industry as well. Really appreciate your time on the show today. If people are interested in learning more about FreightPrint, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. So our website is freightprint.com. You can go to our website, and there's some basic information about how we do workflow automation, how we incorporate QR codes, etc. Different things to it's a good place to start. We are also on LinkedIn and social media presence. We're not we haven't been doing this for a long time. We've got 5 years or so, and majority of the time we've been, kind of behind the scenes, working with, customers and solving their problems and things like that. So, we'd be more than happy to talk to, companies and who are interested in implementing something like this. Um, so yeah, just find us on our website, go to LinkedIn, social media, just reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk and um, help you.
All right, great. And we'll definitely put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well so people can easily find those links. So, Sam, I want to thank you once again for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video here on our YouTube channel, the New Warehouse Podcast. And I appreciate you tuning in. If you liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe to our channel. And if you like this video in particular, make sure you like it as well. And if you want to get this great t-shirt that you see in the video behind me, Warehouses Are Sexy, head to warehousesAreSexy.com and get your own.